Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And away we do go, even though we're without Mackie today. Purple Daily, write that down on this Wednesday, a day before the 4th of July. It's Judd, it's Declan. We are to be joined by Sam. We're to be joined by Phil, actually, who has submitted his predictions. And we're going to get to all of that. But let's, before we start the show, shout out our good friends, our sponsors. In fact, the presenting sponsor of this show, and they're certainly appreciated for that. Our friends at Quick Trip. And Dex, I made a Quick Trip yesterday.
Okay.
And you know what? When I go to Quick Trip, I'm reminded of the fact that they are so much superior to your ordinary convenience store, right? Like you go to your ordinary convenience store and there can be a long line and you might have one person helping and it's sort of hodgepodge. Quick Trip? It's like going to a grocery store more. There are multiple people, cashiers, there to help you out, friendly as can be. They not only have everything that you could possibly want, but they also do it with a smile, which is rare in today's world. So Quick Trip, check them out. And of course, it always helps when you help those or support those who sponsor us. Declan, without further ado, what do we have for today?
Yeah, I'll pop up this accountability session here in just a sec. Write that down every Wednesday right here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. I will even say about Quick Trip, even before they were sponsoring us, and, you know, I will always say kind words about them pre or post our relationship. I always call it the Cadillac of gas stations.
Yeah?
It's the Cadillac of gas stations. I never owned a Cadillac, but I envision that if there was a Cadillac like a gas station, it would certainly be Quick Trip.
And convenience stores. Absolutely right.
All right, so here's how Write That Down works. 3 Vikings or football or show-related predictions from everybody each week. We do keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns on this edition. Say that 10 times fast. I'll write that down. And if you want to participate, like our guest listener, Sam, is about to, you can hit me up via email on the Score North app. You can DM me as well. We are booked through the rest of the month, and then we're open in August. So there's some openings in August, so hit me up if you'd like to join. Write that down. Let's get into our accountability session. We'll start with Judd. We are in the early July parts of the season, but we will highlight some predictions that are on the board, especially a relevant one that we've been talking about over the last week. You said Adam Thielen will not be on the Panthers for the 2024 season.
And it seems like the fact that he is throwing at a high school near Declan's home with J.J. McCarthy has sparked some interest. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like at his age, with what he wants and with where the Panthers are going, he's still a good player, but I just don't know it makes any sense to have him with a team that is so far down now when he's so close to the end of his career. So I sort of like my chances here.
Obviously,
I don't hate him.
When you get life-changing money, you usually take it and you run. I think hindsight, Adam's going to look back in 5 years and realize, why didn't I just go sign with a competitor instead of not taking a bag? You know, like why did I go to Carolina?
And he got a bag here, like he got money here, so like he didn't need that. I think what he was trying to find a year ago was an opportunity where he thought that he could personally thrive. What he really should have done, and I mean, it would have made perfect sense, right? What he really, really should have done was begged the Chiefs. Said, whatever I have to do. Like, imagine him on the 2023 Chiefs, Dex.
Yeah.
Because, I
don't even think you have to beg to go on the Chiefs. I think you just say, hey, I'm open to an opportunity here.
But, I mean, 2023 Chiefs that couldn't catch a cold for how long? Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's now gone, was, abysmal. And I can only imagine how much in that circumstance Patrick Mahomes would have identified Thielen as a trustworthy target. So, yeah, no, you're right. He should have just gone there and said, hey, I can play for you.
Mackie still has a prediction on the board, a kicking-related prediction. Will Reichard will have at least 5 made 50-plus yard field goals in 2024. The kicking prodigy, Will Reichard, who the Vikings drafted this year.
The last day, I was not there, but I saw reports. The last day of the OTAs in June that were open to the media, I am told they allowed Riker to put what I guess we can call a cannon for a leg on display.
Ooh.
This might, you know what? I don't mean to jinx it. I wonder if this is going to be reminiscent of the rookie season of Blair Walsh, which before things went sour was phenomenal.
Yeah, just in the vacuum of the 2012 Blair Walsh, that was a very
Yeah. Although here's a question for you. Do you think this becomes less likely because of the inclination for coaches to go for it now more on fourth down?
maybe, maybe. I guess it could be a thing.
Just a thought.
Yeah, it could be a thing. It wouldn't
Just a
surprise me. Listeners, Griffin on the board says there will be a Purple Daily clip heard on the new wide receiver doc on Netflix, which I believe drops next week.
Yes.
So a little inside baseball for you. When they released quarterback last year, NFL Films, and they were in conjunction with Netflix to put out quarterback. It wasn't just Netflix putting that out. They reached out to Phil and said, hey, we're going to use a Score North clip, or a couple Purple Daily clips, I should say, in the quarterback documentary. As far as I know,
Yeah.
we have not been reached, they did not reach out to us about receiver.
Yeah, so it debuts on the 10th, which is I think Wednesday. And here's the difference. I think when it came to the Cousins documentary, they were looking probably a little bit more for not negative, but more, something might be up with Kirk, something like that. Justin Jefferson, you don't need that for.
Right.
So my guess is that they've quickly found a few places with glowing comments consistently about Justin and said, that's good enough. So Kirk was a little bit more, tumultuous.
For sure. On the board for me, I said the Vikings will acquire a player who was a former first or second round pick by week 1. I feel decent about this. I actually feel better about this towards the last few weeks going into the week 1 matchup than I do like right now. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, N'Keal Harry, who has been moved from receiver to tight end, was picked up in during training camp last year.
Yeah.
And he was a former first round pick of the Patriots. So yes, I would definitely not expect this to happen until we are in training camp if somebody goes down or something. So yes, like to me, this is 100% on hold, but there's no activity currently where I would say that you are now wrong.
2024 statistics this season. I'm leading with a 48.9 completion percentage, a couple touchdowns. Phil behind me at 36.6 with 1 touchdown. Judd and the listeners each with 3 touchdowns. Judd just ahead of the listeners by about a percent point on the 2024 season. All time, I am leading career, 37.2. Phil is leading all time in touchdowns with 47. Listeners, just 23%. Got to up that prediction percentage, hopefully, this season. We'll certainly see if that happens. But yeah, that was where you write that down. Predictions, the statistics. Let's get our guy Sam in, though, for the next round of predictions. Sam, what's going on, dude?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me on today.
You're welcome. And you were telling us off mic that you like to listen and watch this show on YouTube, but at 2 times speed. So then when you join us for like Event Line or Write That Down, or obviously just right now, it honestly sounds like we're talking a lot slower than probably you're used to.
Yeah, most of my Vikings content now, especially in the off season, is either Purple Daily or Purple Insider. And listening to all of that on 2 times speed and then watching it live as it's going on during football season. Yeah, sometimes it can, it feels like it can drag on, but it's a fun experience. It drives my wife nuts because she's like, how do you actually listen to anything that they're saying? But
It's a good point. She's not wrong. Like, how do you?
Somehow I can process it faster if I'm hearing it as opposed to reading it.
Okay.
So that's just easier. She's also a huge Packers fan, but she knows the drill. Basically, after every Vikings game, she knows vent lines going on. So
That's good.
She's at least okay with that.
So when did you find out? Because like these, this happens a lot. We have a lot of Packer fan married to a Vikings fan. I'm just curious, when did you find out that she was a huge Packers fan, and was that ever a sticking point, Sam?
We knew pretty much from the start. We actually met in high school, so we've been together for about 11 years now.
Okay.
married for the last 5.
Congrats.
We knew pretty much from the start. She's not one of those obnoxious Packer fans that really sticks it in your face, being that we live in southeastern Wisconsin. I think she kind of understands that I've just been a Vikings fan for life, and that's not really something that's changing, despite how many times they kick you in the teeth. But I don't know if we make do with it. We finally got a chance to go to our first games last year. It was a pretty miserable bookends for my 2023 because my only 2 games that I have conscious memory of being at was New Year's Day 2023 at Lambeau and watching Brian O'Neill tear his Achilles in person. And then December 31st, 2023, first game at US Bank Stadium. And yeah, watching that whole mess. But she had a great time. And
I'm sure she did, saying "Go Pack, go!" While you're like, ah.
Yeah.
Rough, man.
All right.
That's rough.
Well. At least she's not in your face about it. So I was just curious how that works.
Yeah.
Sam, so we're going to start with you, then we're going to go over to Judd, then to me, and then Phil via satellite. So you are in the leadoff hitter here, Sam. Fire away, man.
Cool. Just quick recap. So all 3 of these, I think, can be touchdowns. I'm looking at the prediction equivalent of the Jordan Addison versus the Niners. It's either going to be a pick or he's going to rip it away and run off to the goal line. So if these need a little bit of tweaking to be touchdowns, I've got a couple tweaks in mind.
Okay.
But starting out, I was looking up based on last year and I think the year before, and I believe that you can find the top 5 vote getters for Rookie of the Year, either offense or defense. So my first, write this down. 2 of the top 5 vote getters for this year's Defensive Rookie of the Year will not come from the first round. So either 2nd through 7.
Okay. So 2 of them. That is not first round. That's close enough, right, Dex? To a touchdown?
Yeah, I think so. 2 of the 5,
Yeah.
2nd through 7. Okay.
Yeah.
You said Rookie of the Year, correct?
For Defensive Rookie of the Year, yep.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah. I think that's good. Judd?
All right. So I am going to at least start the PD, write that down today, by focusing on the Vikings running game. I'm going to be optimistic. The Vikings will finish 16th or higher in rushing offense this season, meaning yardage. And now, so in O'Connell's first 2 years, they've been near the bottom of the league both years. So I think that I think they're going to trust Aaron Jones more. I think they now trust Ty Chandler more. I also think, just as importantly, O'Connell is going with this QB situation to realize he has to run the ball to set up the pass a little bit more without Kirk here. So the Vikings will finish 16th or higher in rushing offense yardage this season, Declan.
Feels like it's the missing link in O'Connell separating himself into the, upper echelon of NFL geniuses is his lack of success with running the football.
Mm-hmm. And that's been both years, for as bad as 2023 was. Dalvin Cook had some great runs in 22, but they weren't that good there. So, yes, I think that is a big thing. And I think the absence of Kirk and now Darnold and or at some point McCarthy playing is going to – you're going to have to rely more on the run game than you have in your first 2 years if you're Kevin.
First one for me, I'll also join the Adam Thielen party. Write this down. Adam Thielen will play for the Vikings before he retires. So whether that's this year or next year or years after, I don't think he has too many years left, but he will be a Viking before he retires from the NFL. This could be on the board for a little long, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a very Judd-like prediction in some
Very
ways.
Judd.
And you
Very
mock me
Judd-like.
for that. You mock me.
I do. Let's go to Phil here for his first prediction via satellite.
Okay, before I take off on a glorious 4th of July weekend vacation and make some potentially bad adult decisions, here's prediction number 1. I think at some point, write this down, before training camp, we will either see or get reports of J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold throwing passes in a workout of some kind to Jordan Addison and or Justin Jefferson. So I don't think the J.J. McCarthy, Adam Thielen workout is the only one you're going to see here. I think you're going to see McCarthy and or Sam Darnold organizing or throwing passes in some offseason workout form to Justin Jefferson and or Jordan Addison sometime before training camp starts. Write it down.
Phil is somewhat concerned about this.
He
And
is.
I can tell. It's simmering, though. It's not like huge concern, but I think he is somewhat concerned. I will say this. When I asked Darnold that question, hey, are you going to get together with guys and throw? He retreated very quickly. So on the Darnold front with Jefferson or Jordan, I don't think so. On the McCarthy front, I think Jefferson and Jordan are not in town. And JJ is. And I don't know they're coming back to town before training camp starts.
You know, I know there could be something with Sam Darnold here to be unlocked under KOC, and maybe he showed something with Kyle Shanahan last year. And yes, he's definitely a better quarterback than what we saw with his time with the Jets. But I think the common denominator, or the thing that hasn't changed since he's been drafted, I don't know if there's a lot of drive up here. Does that make sense? Like I don't see a lot of the intangibles of being a leader and being a quarterback and all those other little subtle things. I don't see that a lot with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, it's weird because when he talks to us, he is as boring as possible, but sometimes that's a philosophy. That's not the person. But yes, I would say from what we saw when he talked, what you're saying makes sense. I'm curious if that is different behind the scenes. But I also think that as far as like throwing with Jefferson at a field or Jordan, you would have to set that up like in Florida. Yeah. And if it hasn't happened by now, I don't know that it's going to take place. So Phil's concerned about this. I can tell. He's like, why is Adam Thielen throwing with a first-round pick?
It definitely won't happen over the next 5 days. Like it's 4th of July weekend. Yeah. Everyone's checked out. So it's probably going to happen next week or the week after.
Yep, exactly right.
Sam, your second prediction, my man.
All right. So I got a lot of defense themes for these 3 picks. So for my second one, there were 5 edge rushers or defensive ends taken in the first round, and Dallas Turner will have more combined sacks and pressures than either of the other 4.
Oh, yeah, that's a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Combined sacks and pressures, right?
Yep.
And the other...
Off the record, I don't think he's going to have the most amount of starts, but I definitely think he'll have the most pressures and sacks combined.
Sure.
Yeah, he should play a ton. And he might play more. So the thing that could help you from a statistical standpoint, Sam, is Van Ginkel coming off that foot problem. I don't know what the pacing of his comeback is. Like, he didn't take part in the camps in May and June, and I'm not positive he's going to take part in the start of training camp. And so if he's still slowed a bit, I don't think that they're going to hesitate to play Dallas Turner. So I think there's a very good chance that he has a pretty big impact from week 1. All right.
Agreed. All right, Judley. Second
on
for you,
to
sir.
my next running back prediction. Aaron Jones will exceed 39 receptions this season. 39. And you say, why, Sports Dad? Why are you citing a specific number? That is the total that Dalvin Cook had in 2022. And that is the most any running back has caught in a season in O'Connell's 2 years.
Okay.
So he's going to have 40 or more. Just for some context here, he had 59 receptions in 17 games with the Packers in 2022.
Yeah.
So he can catch the ball.
Oh, yeah.
I think with Hawkinson out to start the season and, potentially 4 to 6 games, I think there's a very good chance that they're going to try to incorporate a running back more in the passing game. I don't think that's Ty Chandler. Jones has a proven background of catching passes. So my prediction is Aaron Jones is going to be a pretty important part of the passing game, at least for a period of time.
Not even the fact the Vikings running game needs fixing, their screen game. I mean, I've been harping on that for the last. It's embarrassingly bad. So that could also.
But that's what's so weird. What was that? Was that O'Connell not calling it? When he did, it didn't work. Was that a Kirk thing? Was that the running backs? Was that it's weird why a screen game, and I've never seen a team make a screen game look so difficult as the Vikings have.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the reason was.
I think Boone was talking about it being a Kirk problem, if I remember correctly.
It's a Kirk problem. It's now with the Falcons.
Second prediction for me, Robert Tunyon, the Vikings tight end who they signed, the NFC North darling who has been all over the place. So 2-part prediction. he will make the 53-man roster, and he'll be the first Vikings tight end to record a touchdown in the 2024 season.
Okay.
So he'll make the roster, which I do think is probably likely, especially with Hawkinson likely being on the pup to start.
Yep.
But he'll then catch the first touchdown of any Vikings tight end. So before Oliver, before Munt, Nick Muse, I don't know if he'll make it now, but regardless, Robert Tunyon, the first Vikings touchdown to record a first Vikings tight end to record a touchdown.
Okay.
I should say. All right, Mackey's second prediction via satellite.
Okay, prediction number 2 here. So I know Lewis Cine, I think according to Judd's camp notes and some of the other beat writers like Alec Lewis, The Athletic, Lewis Cine might be 6th on the Vikings safety depth chart right now. So it's not looking good for him to make the roster, but there's always a team out there. There's always a coach, I don't know, a secondary coach out there that says, I can save this guy. This is a former first-round pick, an electric player at Georgia in the SEC. So write this down. The Vikings will obtain draft capital in exchange for Lewis Cine at some point before the season starts. So they will trade him. They will get something of value for him before the season starts. Draft capital. Write it down.
Interesting. What do you think, Judd?
Well, first of all, why didn't Phil just trust me? Yes, I said that before. Why do you have to cite different sources? I said it. It's my scoop. No. My question is this. With Cine having a first-round contract, does it make sense to trade for him, or do you just wait until he is waived? And if you do that, is there, I guess you would trade for him if you liked him enough and thought that there was a potential that he was going to be claimed before he got to you. But those first-round contracts are because of the fifth-year option stuff different than the rest of the draft. So I think the potential exists though, and I do not think that Cine will start the season on the Vikings roster. I think this is pretty much, from what I've seen, no pun intended, hopeless. Now play that in 2 times speed, Sam.
Looking forward
Sam.
to it.
Yeah, I'm
Third
sure
and
you
final.
are. You're going to watch yourself in 2 times speed. All right, go ahead.
Third and final prediction, sir. What do you got?
All right, so this was the spiciest one that I had come up with, and I've had this one in mind since I first messaged you about coming on. Write this down. So I'm going to first qualify this by a highlight play is anything besides a regular tackle. So something that would show up in your highlight package: tackle for loss, forced fumble, fumble recovery, touchdown, sack, interception, things like that. So on the Kirk You Didn't Pay Me revenge tour, Dallas Turner is going to have at least one or more highlight play, and there will be some mention during that Falcons game that the Falcons passed on taking Turner to pick Penix. So that could be a sideline report, that could be something in the booth, that could be a graphic that pops up about, hey, he was available at number 8, and you took Penix instead.
No question. That's a slam. That part's a slam dunk. That's happening.
So Dallas Turner will have at least one highlight play.
Okay.
During the Falcons game, and there will be some mention of the Falcons passing on him to take Penix.
All right, you got that, Dex?
I do.
I think that's fair. I think we can, because as far as the term highlight play, we'll know it when we see it. It'll be something. But I think your second part is spot on. I'm jealous I didn't actually. I'm either jealous I didn't think of it, or that you brought this out so quickly, because I think the Turner storyline, especially if he's playing well, if he's got some sacks, they will for sure, because the Falcons defense was in desperate need of help and they took Penix instead, which still makes no sense to me, but what do I know?
All right, Sam. Any other shout outs? Anything you'd love to give here before we say goodbye on Purple Daily? Write that down.
Yeah, just thanks again to you guys for having me on. Phil, whenever you're watching this, I actually do like the nerd voice, so count me in one of those votes.
Wow.
Thanks to my mom, my late aunt, for getting me started in Purple. There's a lot of baby photos and signed baby memorabilia of me at the old training camp and at the Metrodome. I don't remember any of those, obviously. I was way too young for it, but hoping to take mom up to the Niners game this year for kind of a combined birthday, and it'll be her first Vikings game since I was a baby. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Very
Very
nice.
nice, man. That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Sam.
Well, great
stuff.
predictions, dude.
Thanks. See you guys.
We'll get you back on again. Thanks, you dude. Appreciate it, Sam. Before we make our final lap around the room here on Write That Down, make sure you grab your tickets to the 3M Open. It's back July 22nd to the 28th. Sahith Theegala will be there. Zach Johnson's going to be there. Lee Hodges is going to be defending his title. He won it last year. Yep. Tony Finau, of course, is going to be there. Billy Horschel, Sam Burns, Judd's guy, Sam Burns, as you see on the YouTube channel.
Burnsy.
He's going to be there. Burnsy will be there. And at the 3M Open, the golf matters, the great play matters, the shots matter, the scores matter. And you should be there where the game matters. So go get your tickets now by going to 3mopen.com. That's the number 3, the letter M, open.com to grab your tickets. All right, Judd, final pass here on Write That Down. What do you got?
Okay, I'm going to go big picture National Football League prediction here. This does not involve the Vikings. It does involve a team that has, like the Vikings, lost 4 Super Bowls. The Buffalo Bills, tough schedule. Diggs is gone. The receiver room, when you look at it, I think is underwhelming, to put it nicely. The Buffalo Bills will win fewer than 10 games this season.
Wow.
It feels like, and yes, they still have, a quarterback who's really good. Yes, they still have some pieces, but it feels like with teams like this, they can have a prolonged period of knocking on the proverbial door, right? Yeah. Like, okay, it's going to be their year. Now they'll get past the Chiefs. And then eventually you just run into the wall. And I think the loss of Diggs will help them from a morale standpoint, but it doesn't help them on the field. I think they're going to surprise in a bad way and win fewer than 10 games this season.
I know we've been kind of on this show we've been a little critical of the Bills, maybe probably missing their window, and there's a conversation there. I just think pending an injury to Josh Allen, they're still too good for them to be a less than 10 win team.
That's why that's a gutsy call. That might be a touchdown by me. That's
under 10 wins.
Yeah.
9. Basically, you're saying 9 wins or less. Yeah, I think that is a touchdown.
9 wins. No, it's a gutsy call right there.
Because fewer than Bills will win. No more than 9 games.
I guess what I'm expecting at some point in time too now is just to have a season where karma catches up to you.
Yep.
The quarterback gets hurt. Something happens. It just football's such a volatile game, and the Bills have been there for a long time now. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. They've sort of, in some ways, Dex, if you think about it, they've sort of gone Vikings in the sense that they had the extended run of Super Bowl opportunities, lost them all, right? And now they're still really good, and they're right there, but they can't even get, but they can't get past, in this case, the Chiefs and stuff. So anyway, Buffalo Bills are going to disappoint.
All right, my third and final prediction, I'm a little bummed because I didn't want Phil to be on here for it, but I'll still make it regardless, and maybe we can talk about it when he joins us next week. Write this down. Hawk Tua Girl, or the catchphrase, will be incorporated into Vikings content somehow between now and the end of the season.
Ooh. Oh, that's it. So, okay, so you're going to...
We will know it when we see it. There will be a mention. I don't think I'm including her because now she's making a media tour around.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's very far fetched. I don't think that's going to happen with the Vikings.
No.
There will be
no.
some type of Hawk Tua, and I'm gonna include the words "spit on that thing" into this prediction.
Wow. Well, hold on a second though. So like if the only thing, I think the team would be sensitive because of what it meant. But so you're saying like in training camp where they shoot, tons of of like players and mic'd up players now, right? So you're saying like if Dallas Turner jokes about it, that counts.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't think the media team would do it.
No,
but I definitely could see players doing it.
You know how
they gotta do it soon because it's gonna pass. It's gonna get old.
Agreed. But the you like that, like the creepy person in behind, like you like that. Yeah. I think we'll get something of that. Just on Vikings content somehow.
Did you see when I think it was the New Orleans Times Picayune?
Yes.
I think
genius
when they made the trade with the Hawks and it said Hawk to a Pelican. So you might be right here. I love it. That's very creative. All right.
Last one from Phil here, and write that down.
Okay, prediction number 3 here. Final prediction from me. Let's fire some coaches. Or I should probably phrase this in case it's a parting of ways that's not a firing. But the vibes, once again, are weird with the Jets and the Cowboys. You got 2 Cowboys players, Micah Parsons and some other guy, chirping at each other on podcasts and social media. The whole Dak Prescott contract resentment. So Cowboys vibes are weird. Jets vibes have been weird for like 50 years. You got Robert Saleh kind of throwing Aaron Rodgers under the bus. So here's my prediction. Write this down. Robert Saleh and Mike McCarthy will both no longer be the head coach of their respective team, Jets and Cowboys, when the 2025 league year starts in March. So we got some runway here. But I could see things going south for those 2 franchises in a hurry. Robert Saleh and Mike McCarthy. Adios.
I think he's right on Saleh. In fact, I think I predicted that a couple weeks ago. I think he is. I think it's not going to work. I don't even know with and it's not surprising, the Rodgers stuff turning weird. I don't even know if that's going to work at all now. Like it felt like going into 2023, there was this huge buildup, right, of excitement. Now he skips the minicamp. The McCarthy one, I don't know. How many times have we thought that Jerry Jones was going to now fire a coach? Jason Garrett, I think I fired him like 3 consecutive years before he finally got fired.
Sure.
So, and I would have thought that the disappointment in the playoffs alone by this point would have cost McCarthy his job. So that's the one that I don't have any feel for, is what the Cowboys are going to do with Mike McCarthy.
Although both are feeling like a last dance-esque type of run here with veteran quarterbacks, or I know Dak's younger, significantly younger than Aaron, but he's entering the last year of his contract and we don't know what's going to happen there. I feel like if the Jets just make the playoffs with Rodgers, I think Saleh's going to remain. I think if it's a wild card and out with the Cowboys, I think McCarthy is out. Like, Dallas has done just about everything you can in the regular season with Mike McCarthy. They haven't made a playoff run. The Jets are just looking to, get into the dance and see what happens from there. So that's where I'm at. Now, could both these teams disappoint? Yeah. But if their results are the same, where they're both playoff teams, I think Saleh has a better chance of sticking around than McCarthy does.
When the Packers kicked the Cowboys' ass in Dallas in the playoff game last season, I thought that's got to be it. His former team embarrasses him. That Packers team, I mean, good for them, but they certainly weren't this juggernaut.
No.
The Jets thing, now I will say the Jets and Saleh, who was the DC with San Fran before he got this job, the Jets defense should be really good, but I don't know. Stuff just goes wrong there. And I think Woody Johnson, who owns the Jets, I think is sneaky crazy. Like, the Jets aren't well run. And like we talk about, Jones, and certainly before he was basically stripped of the team, Daniel Snyder in Washington, Woody's a really, really weird guy. So I just think it's going to go wrong there. And I also think that if the Jets aren't terrible, but they don't make the playoffs or something, I could see a change there. They thought that Rodgers was going to be this, fix some guy. He gets hurt, I think they thought that he was going to be the Favre 2009 Viking answer. And I don't know, man. Aaron's just so weird now. He's just such a weird dude. So, but you know what? Good for Phil. I love predictions of coaches being fired.
Okay, so we don't have the full sound bar here, but before we say goodbye, Judd, do you want a mock?
Oh, yeah. I want a mock. Yeah.
We have a 2025 mock draft from ESPN that I just saw come across. Yeah.
It came across yesterday. It's very interesting. The Vikings pick is very interesting because I don't know that it's right now, and I'll explain once you're done.
Okay, so from Matt Miller. Proposed trade. Giants are going to come up to number 1 overall, where they take Carson Beck. By the way, they make a trade with the Patriots for the number 1 overall pick, I should say.
Because we're assuming the Patriots are going to suck, but they have a quarterback.
So they go all the way up. They grab Carson Beck from Georgia. Interesting. Raiders. Well,
and did you see the clip of, I think it's Joe Schoen, the GM of the Giants? So there was Hard Knocks Giants offseason debuted last night, and Joe is trying to defend Jones and says that with the offensive line that we had to use, Pat bleeping Mahomes couldn't have been successful. So he's trying to say Daniel Jones, you got to give him more of a chance, which I think might be dangerous. But so the Patriots should be terrible. They don't need a quarterback. They get a lot from the Giants. The Giants take back. It actually, at this point in time, makes sense.
Raiders also make a trade with the Carolina Panthers for number 2, where they take Shadir Sanders, so they find their quarterback of the future. So quarterback to start. Will Johnson, a cornerback, will go to the Denver Broncos at pick 3. James Pierce Jr., an edge rusher from Tennessee, goes to the Titans from the Vols to the Titans. That'd be interesting. I bet Chipper would love that. Pick 5, the Commanders will take Kelvin Banks Jr., a offensive tackle out of Texas. The Patriots, from their trade back with the Giants, will take Will Campbell, an offensive lineman, to protect Drake May at pick 6. And then your Minnesota Vikings are on the clock at pick 7.
This is
First
the
off,
interesting one.
do you think the Vikings will own the 7th overall pick next year?
They could. I don't, but they could. I think they definitely. I don't think it's outrageous. I don't think it's. I could also see them being. I think the lowest I would predict them to be would probably be around 11. Like, I don't think they're going to be great. I don't think they're going to be terrible. 7 would be almost optimistic. I could see them at 11 or so. But the pick itself makes a ton of sense. But I'm going to explain to you why. The more I think about this, I don't know that that's the direction that they would go.
Yeah, at pick 7, the Minnesota Vikings take defensive tackle Mason Graham out of Michigan. The write-up says here the Vikings made big additions in the 2024 first round, adding quarterback J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner. But the inferior of the defensive line should get a big look next year, and Graham is a legitimate contender for the class's top overall prospect. His stats won't blow you away thanks to Michigan's defensive line rotation and assignments. He had 3 sacks in 2023, but Graham's explosion and power jump off the tape.
He's an athlete is what they're saying.
Yeah.
He's an athlete. He can sack QBs, provide inside penetration from the defensive line, which is absolutely incredible and not a dirty thing to say. Here's why I am rethinking that, okay? Previously, I agreed completely. Defensive tackle, they need help there, no question about it. But the only thing is, if you recall on the show yesterday, where we started what was basically a news and notes show, with all of the salary cap space that the Vikings are going to have in March of next year, there's a very good chance they're going to sign a big-time Kenny Clark-like free agent defensive tackle. If you do that and you have the 7th pick, I don't know that you immediately, unless you're the Falcons, I don't know that you immediately take the potential replacement. I'm not dismissing it, but I am saying I think the Vikings are in very much not rebuilding mode, but I think that they're in a gearing up mode, right? I think 2025, there's going to be definite pressure to win. McCarthy should play. Like, this team does have some nice parts. Like, this is not like some team that is without nice personnel, players. Okay, so if you have the 7th pick and you sign Kenny Clark, so now he's going to step in and start, and you see yourself in immediately then being in a window to win, do you take his replacement, or do you draft do you draft a little bit more for, now I'm going to say a dirty word, need, and do you take someone that you think could step in and help you immediately? I'm not dismissing this, but I do think that we have to remember the amount of cap space the Vikings are going to have should and probably will impact what they do about a month after that when the draft comes around.
I'm going to be playing the hits and singing this until I am proven wrong and being just blue in the face.
Trade prospects?
I think the Vikings are going to trade back 100% next year.
Okay.
I mean, they have one pick between the 1st and 5th round.
Sure.
Kwesi's going to want more draft picks. I'd be shocked if they make their 1st round selection. Shocked at their original value.
At their original spot.
Yep. I think they trade back and they'll
Makes
get
sense.
at least 1 day 2, if not 2 day 2 picks back. They have one pick in this projected mock between pick
Right.
9 and 139.
Right.
They
Well-
will have more than one pick when that happens.
Well, to build on that, which I think is a very solid prediction, to piggyback off what you just said, how much do we have to consider that the Vikings might make a trade or two at the deadline this year if they are not going great guns, if they do not shock us, okay?
Yeah.
So like, and let's say they're solid, but they're not great. How much do you consider trading a veteran or two at the deadline to a Super Bowl candidate for draft picks?
Yeah, I would do that. I'm telling you right now, though, I'm not buying at this year's trade deadline.
Oh, no. But that's my point. But my point is this:
Yep. I got you.
the Vikings don't have enough picks.
Yep.
And I'm not even going to criticize why, because I think that they made some good moves. But, if you are at the deadline now, and you're not a disaster, but you're not great. Do you do what you didn't do with Daniil, which could have definitely gotten you some draft capital, and take your pick? I mean, here the guy that I think could help a team, a Super Bowl contender, Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
That might be blasphemy to say, but first of all, this is probably his last year. And I mean, okay, if the dude goes to a Super Bowl contender and rents an apartment for a few months, it's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. And it would give him a chance. And I'm not saying that you would get a day 1 or day 2 pick. But I do think that the Vikings are in a position of just needing to accumulate some draft picks.
Yeah.
So, but I think right now, you're right. I just don't think that we should assume that if they're going to go out and sign a defensive tackle, that they would then draft a defensive tackle, because I'll continue to say this. I think the 2025 Vikings are going to have a pressure on them to win that the 2024 team, despite what's out there, is not going to have.
Absolutely. So there's your mock. There's your write that down predictions. Great
Fun mock,
predictions
though.
from Sam, and a good mock as well. We'll have OG predictions on the Minnesota Sports edition of Mackie and Judd also later on today. Stay tuned on the Score North Twin Show for extra innings. Hopefully have a Royce Lewis update from that. Doesn't sound good if you're a baseball and Vikings fan. Doesn't sound good for Royce Lewis. So keep you updated on that. Hit the like button, subscribe button. Purple Over Beers tomorrow on the holiday on July 4th. So we did our second edition of Purple Over Beers at Red Cow in Uptown in Minneapolis. You can check that out on Friday. You and Phil did a list for Friday's episode of Purple Daily. That will drop then. Mm-hmm. Saturday will be Purple Access with you and Forno or Chip?
It's going to be Forno.
Forno.
We're
Forno.
recording today, so it's going to be Forno, and then you've got a vent line on Sunday.
I have a vent line on Sunday.
And the list is the best 5 Vikings trades of all time.
All right.
And I tell you right now, I bookended it. I did a lot of work. It starts one place and it ends basically at the same place. So, this is like a Netflix documentary. And so you're going to want to make sure to see that. And then to your point on the Purple Over Beers, wait for the end when the food comes out is all I have to say. Don't miss the food.
Absolutely.
3 guys babbling, who cares about that? But when you see the food, you are going to know where your next restaurant stop will be.
All right, enjoy those adult beverages, enjoy those bomb pops. Stay safe over the holiday weekend.
No
Purple
fireworks.
Daily
Don't
has
do
you covered.
fireworks.
I'm with Judd. Stay away from the fireworks. You don't need them.
And my dogs hate them.